our Yellow Couch family, welcome back to another amazing episode. I'm super excited today. I've got with me Ravneet Chowdhury, the Chief Executive Officer for Diamond Trust Bank Tanzania. How are you? Welcome.
Thank you, Joshua. What a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thanks for being here and making the time. And what a time to have you on the couch. So much happening with DTB. We'll get onto that a bit later. But I really wanted to get the audience to get to know you a little bit better. You're a seasoned banker. You've worked in Botswana, Kenya, Oman, Mauritius, and now in Tanzania. It would be great to hear a little bit about your background and how that sort of led up to you being the CEO in Tanzania today.
Thank you, Joshua. So I've always wanted to do banking. So I wanted to find the fastest route to get into banking. So I qualified as a chartered accountant and I got into banking in India. I've been fortunate to work for some world-class banks. I worked for American Express, I worked for ABN AMRO, I had a long stint with Standard Chartered Bank. I then went on to work with Bank One in Mauritius, and I've joined Diamond Trust Bank in Tanzania about 2 years ago. So always wanting to do banking, my initial interest was in treasury. So I ran treasury businesses for a long time because I love the business. It's exciting and it's fast moving and there's so many different parts to it. So it's really enjoyable to understand how it all works. But at some stage that urge came that I wanted to be a leader. And I wanted to run the whole part, not just a small part. So that's when in Standard Chartered I put my hand up for a CEO role. And after pushing for a while, I managed to get, at a pretty young age, a good CEO role in Oman. So from CEO, Standard Chartered Oman, I moved on to CEO for Bank One in Mauritius. And then from Bank One in Mauritius, I moved on as CEO for Diamond Trust Bank in Tanzania.
Wow, so you've worked with some large brands and in varied markets as well. So for the benefit of our viewers, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what does the Treasury Department do in a bank, but also to get a bit of your perspective working in countries of different development levels. What's it like? What's the difference in banking across these different regions?
So let's start with Treasury. Treasury departments in banks manage the balance sheets of banks, they manage the liquidity, manage foreign exchange, manage the money of the bank, to put it very simply. So they make sure there's adequate liquidity, they make sure they manage all the central bank guidelines, and they make sure that the balance sheet is optimized and well run. Moving around in all these countries, I think the first thing you learned is that people are the same wherever you go. So the same things drive people wherever you are, and that doesn't change at all. Now, as far as the development of markets and the development of banking is concerned, that is at different levels in different countries. But again, the basics of banking are the same wherever you go. And you can call it what you want to, you can put it in whichever colored bottle you want, but effectively, banking's basics also remain the same. And I think the learning is that as long as you understand the basics well, then you can't really go wrong.
Yeah. You talked about people. Of course, people being one of the biggest or most important assets within any organization. And when we were discussing before, you described yourself as culturally sensitive. Can you tell us a little bit about how EQ plays a key role in leading with influence and purpose?
So you're absolutely right that I think people are the most important aspect of life. And if you can understand people, learn how to work with people, motivate people, you're going to win any battle you get into. And when we look at examples of great leadership around the world, you have really good examples of leaders who've really led people through amazing feats, whether it's in battle or it's in sport, or it's in adversity. I think the advantage of having worked in so many countries and met people of so many different cultures and having learned so much from all this, I think it's made me a better human being to start with.
Nice.
And then after having become a better human being, you've got that feeling now, how do I help and support people? How do I give back and help people in whichever way possible? Whether it's through coaching, or it's through mentoring, or it's through sharing experience, really. So I think coming to Africa has been the most humbling experience of my life, and I think I'm most grateful to God for having charted my ship in a manner that it brought me from India to Africa 25 years ago, and I'm so delighted to have been able to spend such a long time in Africa.
Yeah, nice. And you talked about your desire to lead earlier, and you said you put your hand up. So you had an intention to lead people. I'm sure during your leadership journey, you've been through many learning curves. What would you say is one of the steepest learning curves that you went through during your leadership journey?
So the best way to learn, especially in leadership, is a time of crisis. And when you're in a crisis, whether from a banking perspective or from a regulatory perspective or from a people perspective, that's when the learning goes up dramatically. That's when you can see people and you can see the natural instincts of people. And that's where you can see your own natural instinct as well. So, there's been a lot of learning in various situations that I've been. But I think the basic thing is that if you are honest and you are able to recognize a situation and a problem and share it with your team and work together to try and find a solution, then you're always going to come up.
I wanted to talk about intention. Your career journey seems quite intentional. You always wanted to be in banking, and then you wanted to be a leader. What role does this play in the success? There's a lot of people who leaving university maybe now and are still finding themselves. What role does intention play, and how do you use it to your advantage to be successful?
The intention is the most important part of any journey that you step out to go towards. And if we talk about the book The Secret, and it talks about visualizing what you want from your life. So I think the first thing is to give birth to your future plans by creating an intention of what you want to do, and then sending it out into the universe, and then working hard to make sure that the universe conspires with you and destiny to take you to where you want to go to. So I think it's so important to visualize. And when we look at big sportsmen and great sports people, they actually visualize playing the sport. It's a mental thing.
Yeah.
Many people, when you've seen interviews of great tennis players or great footballers or great cricket players or basketball players, they visualize the whole thing before they do it. So I think putting out the intent into the universe is just the most important starting point in any journey that you would ever begin.
Yeah. Totally agree with that, and you'll be surprised how what you put out comes back. Yeah. So I wanted to move on to another topic, to look at Diamond Trust Bank, the current role you're holding as CEO as well. I think there's big news. You've recently moved your offices to Masaki. You've put a new HQ there. Can you tell us a little bit about the intention of the bank in moving there? And tell us a little bit about your offices. If you've got any cool facts you could tell us?
Thank you for that. So, DTB is a tier 1 bank in Tanzania and one of the top banks in town. And we thought it's high time we had our own head office. And as you've very kindly pointed out to me, we're probably the first bank to have its head office in Masaki. What it's done for us is it's brought all our offices together. So we've got about 300 people in one building. It's allowed us to create a signature brand. It's allowed us to create beautiful meeting rooms for clients, to give our clients a better experience. Coordination among staff has improved because now everybody's together in the same building. We've got a lovely innovation lab. We've got coming up with a very nice cafeteria and training facility. So from both an employee brand and from a customer point of view, I think it's created huge value for us. And I hope to be able to invite you and your team down shortly to the DTB Center in Masaki, where you can see for yourself that it's just a statement of intent of what's to come in future for DTB and for our customers.
Yeah, I think it's so powerful what the decision you've made, especially in a world where everyone's going to working at home and moving away from the office. I believe you too, value the human engagement you get in such a space as well. So congratulations, you guys, and I'm definitely going to take you up on that offer to pass by your offices.
Thank you.
I've also noted Bank with us, bank on us, DTB's new customer promise. Bank with us, bank on us. What does this mean to your customers?
So we just talked about intent, and let me bring this back to the intent that we talked about. I think we're making a statement of intent to our customers to say that come to us, bank with us, and we will look after you. So it's a very strong brand promise to say that you can trust us. We are going to continue to deliver great quality service to you, offer great products, and keep investing in technology and security with the sole purpose of enhancing the customer experience on a regular basis. This is not a static situation where we say we've reached somewhere and we've done. We're going to constantly keep evolving to give you better quality services and improve your experience. So it's a strong statement of intent to the market, something which we will live up to for sure.
You talk about customer experience, and it's a term we hear about a lot. Maybe you can just talk us through what exactly is customer experience, and is there anything that your customers should expect different, or is it more just a promise, or should they expect an actual change in how they work with your bank?
So I think let's first distinguish between customer service and customer experience. So customer service is the act of taking care of a customer and meeting a customer's needs, whereas customer experience is the whole journey. It's the whole engagement with the bank, and it's how a customer interacts with the bank end to end. Now, when we talk about improving the customer experience, we're talking about basically allowing you to do what you need to do at the convenience of your phone, on your fingertips. We are talking about being flexible. We are talking about being empathetic. So we are talking about really being a partner to our customers. Now, we are obviously not going to be able to do everything for everybody, but within rules, regulations, and within the amount of flexibility that is allowed, we want to give an outstanding experience to our customers. So that's what we're talking about with customer experience and with our new tagline.
Nice, I like it. One of DTB's values is meritocracy. What is a meritocracy, and why is this a value of the bank?
I think we talked about the fact that people are the most important pillar and the most important aspect of any organization. And therefore, meritocracy becomes really important because you need to recognize people who are doing a great job. And recognition doesn't necessarily have to come in the form of salary or promotions. It can even come in the form of just a pat on the back to tell somebody that you've done a great job. So I think we are starting from the point where we want to hire the best people in the market. That because it's the most important asset that the bank has. We don't want to spare any expense on getting the best people in the market. We want to strengthen our organization structure. The bank is growing really well, and I see a great future for the bank. We want really sound foundations for the future. And to do that, you've got to have a very strong process of recognizing people, developing and growing people. Therefore, meritocracy has to be a very important part of this whole journey, because if you don't promote people who are doing a great job, you don't reward people who are doing a great job, and you don't set a benchmark for other people to follow, then you will lose the plot at some stage. Therefore, it's a really important value for us, something which we do live and follow through on a regular basis.
I can tell the people of the bank are important to you, but we're in a competitive market. How do you attract and retain the best talent in the market to help you in your development and growth?
I think that then comes down to the ethos of the bank. That comes down to what is the DNA of the bank. And again, it's not only about money and it's not only about promotions, but it's what's the experience you offer to your employees. We just talked about client experience. Now, what about the employee experience? So I made a pledge to my team that I want to make sure that you're going to have the best employee experience in the market as well.
Nice.
We're going to do the best for you from an employee point of view as well. And what we've done with the head office in terms of the quality of the place, the space, and the facilities available to staff. And I keep looking at all pain points for staff as well, just as I do for customers. And I try and clean them up one by one so that I improve the quality of life of our people. Now, that is a really important step in making sure that you retain people, you develop and you grow people. So it's a whole cycle, it's a whole process. It's not one or two things, but it's the whole experience that you give your employee. And if you make it a great experience, you're going to get great results.
Yeah. Happy team, happy customers.
Absolutely.
Happy bank.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think I wanted to touch a little bit on the industry of banking in Tanzania. We're seeing big growth in profits across the board, DTB as well, doubling in its profits. What's happening? What's the big difference? Why are banks suddenly growing so fast? And what's the future of Tanzania hold?
So I think there are two key reasons why you're seeing such good growth in banks and in DTB. Number one is that COVID seems to be behind us. So the world is opening up and travel is starting, tourism is booming, which obviously speaks well for the Tanzanian economy. Secondly, I think in the leadership in Tanzania, we've seen an opening up, we've seen a lot of positivity, and we've seen people now starting to invest in the Tanzanian economy, both locally and from overseas. So we are seeing great momentum in the Tanzanian economy. We are looking at great upside in the Tanzanian economy over the next couple of years. You know, we wouldn't be surprised if Tanzania goes back to the pre-pandemic growth rates, you know, about 6 to 7%. So in this backdrop, we just see there's just a great future for Tanzania over the next couple of years. And as banks and as organizations who are part of this ecosystem, if you play it well, you're bound to grow with it.
I think that's amazing. You've got such a good and unique vantage point on the economy. How can some young people in Tanzania who are looking to capitalize on this growth and capitalize on this investment coming in, what can they do to be a part of it?
So I think the first area is, most important part is your idea. What's your concept and what's your idea? And we've seen with successful stories around the world, most people started with $100 or 10,000 shillings with the garage and then have become multi-billion-dollar businesses. So I think the first thing is to have a clear idea and a clear plan on how to execute it, and then to grow slowly and scale up. And you'll find that as you do that, you're going to get partners along the way, whether they're banks willing to fund your investment or they're private equity players who want to join you in and give you more capital to scale up. But I think the most important thing is to have a clear plan, a clear idea, and a willingness to work hard to execute it.
Thank you. I think great advice there. Have a plan and then work hard at it. It doesn't come easy.
True.
So I wanted to jump into our next section of the interview, which would be our trivia questions, just to get to know you a little bit better and know the man behind the position a little bit more. So maybe we'd like to know, what is your definition of success?
So that is, that's a lovely question, because what happens is that as you move along in life, your definition of success changes. Initially, you want to define success in material ways, in terms of money, position, power, etc. But as you go along, it changes. And for me, I've seen that change happen. And for me, success is defined, I define success as how much you've been able to come at peace with yourself. So if you've been able to reach a level of peace with yourself within you, I think you've just made it. Because you're then bulletproof, really. And nothing can bother you. And then you become this force for good. You become a very positive force that can really, create positivity and help people around you. That is my definition of success today.
I love that. It's not about the material.
Not at all.
It's more about your inner peace, acceptance and happiness.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Is there a moment in your life when or a particular incident in your life that you think has changed you to become the person you are today?
I think my school life was very important. I was the house captain in school, and that was the first leadership position I ever had. And I was the youngest in my class, so here was the youngest guy in class being the house captain, and that wasn't easy. Yeah. So I think I learned my leadership, and I learned a lot about human beings and about how to make things work at that stage.
Okay.
So I think that was a very pivotal moment in my life where I realized I could lead. I was successful, so I smelled success, and it actually placed me on a platform for my future life. So I think that was really, really critical for me.
Wow, from such a young age.
From such a young age.
Nice.
Yeah.
And final question, if you had a warning label, what would it say?
So again, this has come across after many years of experience, but I think the most important thing is never be fixed about anything. Don't have a fixed notion about, or a fixed, don't make up your mind about something and fix it, about people or things, or good or bad. Keep an open mind, because what happens is when you look at things a little deeper, you might see it differently. So don't have a fixed mindset. Just be flexible and allow your mind to go deeper to really suss out what's the truth in life. So I think that's a key learning for me.
Nice. And as we wrap up, I think I'd like to give you the opportunity, speaking to our stakeholders and community, what message would you have for the young people of tomorrow if they're looking to build a better future for our country?
My message for young people is, firstly, dream, and dream a lot. Number 2, follow the dream with lots and lots of hard work. Number 3, be resilient. Don't let failure stop you. Keep getting up and keep trying again and again. And the most important thing of all, be a good human being and help people in whatever way you can. That will give you probably the biggest happiness in your life. Thank you.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Be resilient, but not at the cost of human nature and human relations. Keep a good output into the world. So thank you very much, Ravneet. We appreciate all the pearls of wisdom you've shared here today. And there we have for another Yellow Couch session. Please don't forget to subscribe, comment, or let us know anything you'd want to know, or any other guest you'd want on the Yellow Couch in the future. Take care and talk soon.